Gis la Davido.
We'll join Business Daily shortly, then it's Witness History. Today, I'm taking you back to 1997, when the runaway success of the Tamagotchi transformed the market for children's toys. In an hour, the documentary meets the scientists trying to make a new chemical element.
We don't know where this is going to lead us, but we hope that the discoveries that we make helps us find new technologies that we can't imagine now.
At bbc.com, our series, The Bomb.
Kennedy and Khrushchev, how a crisis that was years in the making came to a head in October 1962.
And the personal stories of the two men who pulled the world back from the brink of nuclear war.
With me, Max Kennedy.
And me, Nina Khrushcheva.
This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
Coming up on today's episode.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Business Daily on the BBC World Service with me, Santa Claus.
That's right, we'll hear from the real Santa Claus, straight from Lapland, about how his home became the world's biggest Christmas economy. We'll find out why this year is record-breaking in terms of tourism for the region and what benefits it brings to local businesses. That's all after the news.
BBC News with Eileen McHugh. After 17 years in exile, the leader of Bangladesh's largest party has arrived back home to a rousing welcome. Tariq Rahman is seen as a leading contender for the post of Prime Minister in elections in February. The US Justice Department says it may need a few more weeks to release all the documents related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The statement follows the discovery of more than 1 million potentially relevant documents. Papers released so far have been heavily redacted. The Conservative candidate for the presidential elections in Honduras, Nasri Asfora, has officially been declared winner more than 3 weeks after the actual vote. He was backed by President Trump. The runner-up, Salvador Nasrallah, says he does not accept the result. The authorities in Turkey have arrested more than 100 suspected members of the Islamic State group. They are suspected of planning attacks on Christmas and New Year's celebrations. Police in Australia are investigating what they've described as a suspicious fire after a car with a Hanukkah decoration was set ablaze in Melbourne. The empty vehicle, with a sign celebrating the Jewish festival, was scorched while parked in a house driveway. Residents of Somalia's capital Mogadishu are voting in municipal elections, the first direct elections in more than 50 years. It's seen as a test run for national elections next year. At least 10 people have died in the Indian state of Karnataka after a truck collided with a bus. Police say the truck veered across the road and crashed into the bus. Flash flood warnings are in effect in Southern California amid heavy rain and danger of deadly mudslides. The storm is expected to deliver months' worth of rain in the coming days. The rain is being driven by an atmospheric river known as the Pineapple Express. BBC News.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Business Daily on the BBC World Service with me, Santa Claus.
And with me, Izzy Greenfield. Today we're heading to Lapland to find out how the home of Father Christmas turned holiday magic into a booming economy. How do local businesses benefit from this kind of tourism?
Yearly sales at the moment is about 21 million euros, so with the hotel, with the souvenir shops and the restaurants altogether 21 million.
And how much is it growing?
Our tourism is super international. That is something that makes it record-breaking, and it's been developing to last 10 years really strongly.
That's all coming up on today's episode of Business Daily. Across the world, Lapland has become synonymous with Christmas. Tourists are happy to travel considerable distances to meet Santa in his real faraway home. They fill planes to northern Finland to experience the magic of Father Christmas in an authentic setting surrounded by snow, ice and reindeer. But how did this region of Finland become known as the home? of Father Christmas.
Yeah, as Finns, we've always believed that he lives in Finland.
That's Dr. Tia Palo, a senior lecturer in marketing at the University of Edinburgh Business School. She grew up in Finland with Santa on her doorstep.
And one story tells that a self-processed friend of Santa, a man called Markus, who was a Finnish children's radio program host, he told in a radio program in 1927 that Santa's real home is in a place called Korvatunturi, which is English translation, Earfell, in the Finnish-Russian border in the middle of nowhere. And because it was such a secret place, not many people knew where exactly it was, but also very, very difficult to get to, Santa became a commuter. So he moved over to the Arctic Circle in Rovaniemi, the main city of Lapland, closer to a road network and other infrastructure, so it became easier to go and visit him. It was after the Lapland War, at the end of the Second World War, most of Lapland's infrastructure was destroyed. So the predecessor of UNICEF was supporting the reconstruction work, and as part of that, Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt came to visit Lapland to see the reconstruction work in 1950. And she expressed that she would really like to see the Arctic Circle and cross that. But there was nothing there. It was at the middle of no forest, so there was nothing there to host her. So a group of people came together in just, I think, less than 2 weeks. They built a small cabin in the Arctic Circle, which is called the Roosevelt Cabin or the Arctic Circle Cabin. So that was basically, I think, another key event that marked an important event for tourism. Soon after the cabin got extended, people wanted to go and visit, post letters and postcards from the cabin, and now we have the proper Santa Claus village surrounding that cabin at the Arctic Circle. So it's expanded, and that was the first step in building Santa Claus Village in Rovaniemi, Lapland.
With just 5 hours of daylight in the south and perpetual night in the north, December may be the darkest month in Finland, but it's when the country gets its chance to shine. Last December alone, 500,000 foreign visitors sampled the Christmas spirit in this part of Finland, giving a big boost to the regional economy.
Well, Christmas tourism is an important economic sector for Lapland, naturally, and tourism in general. So it's brought a lot of employment, a lot of business opportunities. In that respect, it has been really, really important for the place and the local community. It's been happening in kind of a symbiotic relationship with the local community and local businesses. It's worked well.
And how invested are local and national governments in promoting Lapland as this Christmas destination? How much do they invest in it?
Well, historically, if we look into the 1980s and 1990s, they played very much a key role in kind of developing and promoting Finland and Lapland as a tourism destination, and at that time even more as a Christmas tourism destination. So there was a Finnish Tourist Board that functioned under the Ministry of Employment and the Economy until 2015. At that time in the 1980s, for example, they set up a Santa Claus working group, which I think is a fantastic name for a working group. I wish I would have been around then. They were very much given the task of thinking how to use Santa as a way to kind of marketize Lapland as the home of Father Christmas.
Since the 1980s, Finland has built a thriving industry around its claims to be the resident home of Mr. Claus. There have been rivals, Norway, Sweden, Greenland, but none have managed to make their claims stick quite like Finland has, thanks to the efforts of the Santa Claus working group that Tia mentioned, and others. Rovaniemi, the northern town that serves as the epicenter of Finland's industry, attracts thousands of visitors every year.
This is the gateway to Lapland, so we are located in the northern Arctic Circle, which means that we are quite high up here in the north. Very easy to reach from Helsinki and then by the direct flights all over Europe.
Sanna Karkkonen is the CEO of Visit Rovaniemi, the city's tourist board.
course, this has been a record-breaking decades for tourism. 40 years we've been welcoming travelers to Santa's office at the Arctic Circle, and the office is open every single day.
Wow. So tell me about that record-breaking decade. What kinds of numbers have you been seeing?
Well, our tourism is super international. That is something that makes it record-breaking, and it's been developing through last 10 years really strongly. Nowadays, for example, we are having about 700,000 visitors annually, and at the moment, for example, we're having 41 direct flight connections from Europe. I think the furthermost is from Istanbul in Turkey, and that of course affects the number,
여보세요? 예. 여보세요?
예, 오늘 8시 약속하셨죠?
어떤
아니신가요? 삼진 아니신가요?
삼진 아파트요. 지난주 목요일인가 8시 약속했는데. 예, 지난주 그래서 안 오셔가지고 이게 또 취소했나 생각. 지난주 목요일 8시라고 하지 않았나요? 근데 지난주 목요일 8시였는데 그 전에 통화하지 않았었나요? 예. 크리스마스에는 저는 이제 삼진이 없는데. 지난주 목요일에 약속했는데 안 오셨더라고요. 예. 예. 예, 그렇게 해야 될 것 같습니다. 예.
numbers from the foreign markets. It's been steady growth about 30-40% every year. So this year as well, we are expecting record-breaking numbers. We are on the growth about 20% for the coming season, and that is of course the biggest number of travelers we've ever had in Rovaniemi and all over in Lapland.
Reporter Erika Benke has put on her warmest coat and been to visit a Christmas resort in Rovaniemi for this program to find out how global it really is.
We are in a Santa Claus holiday village in Rovaniemi in Finnish Lapland, right on the Arctic Circle. It's just a few weeks before Christmas. I'm at the gate with Juhani Ikonen. He's one of the managers here, managing the hotel. Would you say that this is one of Finland's top tourism attractions?
I would say the most famous.
Singapore.
So you came all the way from Singapore to Lapland?
All the way, yeah.
Experience some Christmas magic.
Yeah, Christmas spirit, and I think it's a good village. Yeah, the snow, we don't get snow in Singapore.
Where are you from? From Greece?
Greece.
What brings a young adult couple here without children?
To want to experience the snow and the joy of Christmas before Christmas. Because even without children, you're more free, let's say, to experience it on your own pace. We're under 18 to 20 degrees in Greece now, so we wanted a little bit of cold, we wanted a little bit of snow.
Do you mind paid for this?
So let's say roughly around 500.
But that includes the flights.
Includes the flights, yes. The hotel per night here was around 150, and then it's whatever you do here. Let's say the food you have, the activities you choose to do.
Well, one place to spend a little more money is Santa's official post office. If you send a card or a letter from here, the elves will stamp it with Santa's official postmark.
My name is Auli. I'm a senior elf or grandmom elf because I have white hair and I have been working here more than 20, maybe 25 years.
Do people spend a lot of money here or is it just one postcard?
It depends, and of course when the people is in holiday, they spend money different way when they at home.
So it's your job to sort
it's one part of my job. He receives about 500,000 letters every year. But today I was handling early in the morning those letters.
After all this excitement about Santa, his letters and his gifts, I couldn't wait to finally meet the man himself. So you get presents from people?
Oh, I do. Sometimes people are so thoughtful and so nice. My absolute favorite thing to get as a present is something that a child has made on their own.
So I guess you're not getting bored by the visitors, so you're not finding anyone annoying?
Not at all. I love people, and I'm very lucky. The world comes to visit me, and I meet wonderful, wonderful people, and they come in and they tell me all about their family members, quite often about losing family members, because Christmas is a time for remembering them. And I'm very happy that people trust me enough to let me see them a little bit.
And we are very happy to have you, to have somebody to trust.
Erica Benke reporting for Business Daily on the BBC World Service from Rovaniemi, where we're finding out how Lapland became the world's biggest Christmas economy. Demand is high and businesses are listening. The airline Norwegian Air is adding more flights to its schedule, adding direct routes to Rovaniemi from London and Munich for the very first time. And it seems that every industry wants a slice of the frozen pie. The Coca-Cola company recently chose Rovaniemi as one of 5 global locations to launch its famous Christmas campaign. But more tourists means more space is needed, more infrastructure, and in a place known for its vast natural beauty, how can the city balance this high demand with sustainability? Here's Sanna Karkinen, CEO of Visit Rovaniemi again.
We are only 65,000 inhabitants here, even that our area is huge. It's the biggest city in Europe by surface, over 8,000 square kilometers wide land area in Rovaniemi, which gives us a huge space. So we need to really pay attention to the fact where the tourism groups and if I say masses would go, so that everything is planned accordingly, so that the locals don't have too much interference, and yet there is the possibility for normal kind of interaction, because people want to see how the locals live and what they do, and they want to have the interaction, and that's of course something that the locals do want as well. So we need to make sure that there are certain venues and places and possibilities by events to get together, because by that time by those chances we get to understand each other better. And then of course we need to give certain rules, and we need to give certain advice. Definitely advice is needed. How to go to see Northern Lights in a safe and responsible way, how to act sustainably in Rovaniemi, what to do, where people take and return, for example, bottles, or how do they maintain the litters or something. It's like about the waste, about the consuming the water, how to go into houses and how to act sustainably during the winter season. So I think it's a question of education about interaction and communication, and of course that all the parties in the community need to be involved. And for that involvement, I think Visit Rovaniemi is on a very key role, because we talk with all these decision makers and the travelers themselves.
With all the talk of business, growth and tourism, Sanna said it was important that she made one more point before our interview ended.
Christmas is our mindset. So it's about the values of Christmas, the giving and caring and sharing, the constant presence, and being kind. So these are the values that we go through in our daily routines and in our meetings and encounters with our travelers and with also the business partners that we work with, collaborate with. And I think they are great values nowadays world.
Thanks to Sanna and to all of the guests who spoke to me on today's programme. Have you ever taken a trip to Lapland? What was it like? You can email us at businessdaily@bbc.co.uk or message us via WhatsApp on 00443306783033, starting your message with the words Business Daily. So, as the Santa Industrial Complex keeps on churning, who better to end the programme than the man himself?
Thanks for listening to